Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 10, Episode 14, which was titled Barcelona Breakdown. Okay guys, this episode went from here to here like real quick. And before I get into the recap, did you guys watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen? He had Nene and Marlo were the guests, and it was the first time that Marlo had been on Watch What Happens Live, and Cynthia and Candy were in the audience, and I guess they had all gone to New York. Were they in New York? Right, so they must have been in New York. She's performing in Chicago, so the play Chicago. So I guess the Nene, Marlo, and Cynthia had gone to New York to see Candy perform in the play Chicago. So anyway, they're at the show. Marlo was like so nervous. I could not believe as much trash as she talks that she was nervous, and she was just basically kind of like hidden in Nene's shadow, like she was waiting on Nene's confirmation or to give her the nod to answer a question or whatever. And Nene was being Nene, but when Andy was asking her questions about Portia and her relationship with Portia, she was sort of like straddling the fence. And I'm starting to think Nene don't really like Marlo. I think she likes Marlo, but I don't think that they are as good of buddies as Nene is pretending to be. Or maybe it's one of those situations where you have a friend and you really like that person, but you can only take them in small doses. So I kind of picked up on that last night. Nothing really came out of, the show, and so let's move on to the recap. So it's the morning after, the Kim blow up, the Kim Zolciak blow up about the video with the roaches and everything. And so it starts out with Eva. So Eva must be an early riser, and she's like trying to, get the ladies to come down and have coffee and donuts or whatever. Everybody was sleeping in, and she was just like, oh my God, I can't believe, that nobody's up yet. And so it looks like they had fun the night before, because they kept showing little clips of their phone footage where they were dancing and, just having a good time like you should have when you're out with your friends. So Eva, is kind of rethinking coming on the trip, and, thinking, like she knew the ladies were crazy, but I don't think she realized how crazy they really were. So then later on, everyone is up except for Nene, and they all come down for brunch. And so, of course, Candy was the first one there. She was already in the kitchen eating, stuffing her face. I just think it's so funny. Candy loves to eat, and she ain't ashamed to let us know that she loves to eat. So once everybody's down, they get to talking about Brielle and the video and how foul it was, for her posting the video and shading Nene, at her home when I guess they weren't even invited to be there. It was the night, I think, of the white party with the gay friends or whatever. And Croy and Brielle were in the car waiting on Kim, who wasn't invited to the party. And I think that was the night that all of this happened. But anyway, they are trying to get Sheree to talk to Kim and tell her that she was out of order for doing that, but Sheree ain't going for it. She's like, I ain't doing it. That ain't that's not my problem. So next they ask Eva, how she's feeling about her and Shamia, And, because they had gotten into it about the whole Missy Elliott blog, the blog about Missy Elliott and having a relationship. And so Eva says that topics are off the table unless she brings them up. Like, y'all don't get to talk about my personal business unless I'm the one that's talking about it first. But then Marlo quickly lets her know that it doesn't work that way. Because these girls are going to ask if they want to know the answer. So then Marlo starts shading Portia, and by saying that it's best to tell the truth and ask questions, because when the stuff hits the fan, you don't want to be backpedaling on what you said. And so Portia takes offense, of course, and says that they should just call it the bitchy brunch, because everybody was just, it started out nice, but then all of a sudden everybody was going at each other. So then Nene finally comes down and points out that since everyone had issues with the house that Cynthia had picked out, she took it upon herself to find them better accommodations at an upscale hotel. So after they go on their outing for the day, they're going to come back, pack up, and then go and check into their new digs. I was just like, the house wasn't that bad, Nene. I mean, Sheree was upset because she had to sleep in a twin bed and all of that, but it ain't like y'all were going to be there for a really long time, and it was Cynthia's trip. So, like, how dare you do Cynthia like that without even talking to her and asking her if it was okay? But then on the flip side, Cynthia, she acted like she was happy to be moving because maybe she wasn't satisfied with the place either. Or maybe Cynthia and Nene would have been more satisfied if Candy and Shamia had gave up the rooms on the top floor. Then it wouldn't have been an issue. So, the ladies are extremely happy that they're going to be leaving. So then they all go upstairs to get prepared for their outing. So we're going to call the next part of this recap the 50 cents challenge. So remember, Cynthia had created this list of all the things that she wanted the ladies to do, like in a challenge. And so I guess they've been doing some of the stuff that was on the list, and then posting it to their social media. Cynthia was like, well, it wasn't supposed to be like a real challenge where y'all were going to put it on social media. It was just supposed to be within the house. But they was like, they were like, well, it's more fun if we get to share it with people. And so let's, do some of the challenges throughout the day, and then we can post the video. And so the outing for the day kind of turned into the 50 cent challenge day. So after they get all of that settled, the conversation turns to Cynthia kissing a girl. So the sexual tension is so high for Cynthia. I wish she had just stayed with Will, broke him off some before she went on this trip, and she would just be feeling so much better about life right now. And so they had been talking earlier, about girl-on-girl action, and I don't know if Cynthia has a crush on Candy, or if she thinks that Candy, because of the whole Phaedra and Portia situation, that Candy would be more willing to indulge her in a, little shindig or whatever. But she just been all over Candy on this trip. So the ladies get on the bus, and they were going to go rent go-karts, and then they were going to drive the go-karts to tour the city. So Cynthia wants some candy, but Candy says that she's done with the girls ever since the fiasco last season, and they're not going to get her caught up in any more drama. And so Portia decides that she'll take one for the team and kiss Cynthia. So Cynthia had some water, so she drank the water, put the water in her mouth, swished it around, to get any food particles or whatever out of her teeth. And so Portia was like, well, what is you doing all that for? I'm not like fixing to tongue kiss you, like I'm just going to kiss you. So, the ladies were egging them on. They got all their cameras out to record it and everything. So Portia leans in to kiss Cynthia. And then all of a sudden she like pulled back, and she was like, oh my God, she put her tongue in my mouth and said that Cynthia was washing her teeth with her tongue. So y'all think these girls gonna be bumping coochies after a while? What do you think? Cynthia is going to have like a liaison with one of the women on the show, or maybe another woman that she's just going to experiment and do this? Or has she even said in the past that she has had? Because if she has said that she's done it in the past, she's not acting right now like she's done in the past. She's acting very curious right now. So they get off the bus and come across this mime. And if you've ever been to New Orleans, it's real popular in New Orleans, where the people are like painted, like their bodies, their clothes, everything is painted gold or silver, and they're out there doing the mime and everything. So Portia says that she has to get the mime's number because he is magical. So I was like, y'all so crazy. So then Nene admits that she's actually enjoying Portia on the trip, you know, that she's having a good time and liking their camaraderie. So I was like, okay, so let's hope this continues. So the ladies rent the go-karts, to, you know, tour the city, and it's like game on, because Portia is lead foot and she just speeding and weaving in the traffic, and it was two to a car, so it was Portia and Shamia in their car. So Portia's being silly, and when you know it, she runs into someone. But thankfully, these go-karts are sort of like the go-karts at Disney World. Like if you run into somebody and get stuck, they can come along and separate the cars, and then you go on about your business. So Portia swore to God that she had just said that she had on stilettos and that she could drive with stilettos on right before she rammed into the back of the guy. But then she gonna argue with the people saying that something's wrong with this car. I was pressing the brake. I was pressing the brake. You know, so the people like, whatever. But then they went ahead and switched out the car for her. So after they do that, they end up at this restaurant. And I'm like, why is y'all eating again when y'all just had that big old brunch like an hour earlier? Like, what's going on? But anyway, they go to this restaurant. So Lord, they try to order the food in Spanish, and Portia talking about the Hennessy and the Coca. So the guy was looking at her like, what? So I think it was Cynthia who actually said what it was that she wanted, and it was cognac and Coke, or cognac and soda or something. So the guy, you know, went off, and then they were just ordering random stuff off the menu. When the guy finally came back with the food, they was all looking around, so they had to just order the hodgepodge and stuff. So earlier in the show, Cynthia, I think it was when they were getting dressed to get ready to go on the little excursion, Cynthia wig caught on something and it almost came off. So when they were sitting at the table, you know, Cynthia was sweating and everything, and she was like, I really want to take this wig off. And Candy was like, no, don't do it, girl. I was like, so what's Cynthia had looking like under that wig? I think one of the other challenges was that they were going to order like a delicacy or something. So then they started ordering stuff, and I think they ordered prawns, and Portia ordered octopus. And so they were trying that food, you know, of course, just going along, having a good time. And I mean, up until this point, everything was great. And then all of a sudden, it went left. Nene wants to know what they talked about at the brunch before she came downstairs. So they tell her that, you know, they were talking about Kim and the whole situation with the video. So they start debating, you know, what it was that Brielle saw in the bathroom. Was it a roach? Was it a water bug? Was it a cricket? Like, what really was the bug in the bathroom? And so Sheree says that she doesn't have bugs, so she wouldn't know. So, you know, Shady Bravo was there with the receipts, because then they showed a clip of Sheree when she was out on her patio or balcony, and it was a roach out there or a bug, some kind of bug out there. And so she was hopping around and everything trying to get back into the house. So I was like, Bravo, y'all need to stop. So Nene chastises Portia and Sheree for not checking Kim, and feels that they, particularly Sheree, should call Kim and set her straight for the things that she said. So Sheree says that she will let Kim know everything that was said. We already know you're going to do that, Sheree, because you're the bone carrier, right? And so Sheree says that she is not going to talk to Kim about her kids, because that's not her business. And that, you know, Kim, you know, will probably get offended if she called her, and then next thing we know, she'll be posting video about Sheree and her kids, and talking about Tyrone and everything else. So Sheree like, Kim a loose cannon. I ain't putting myself out there like that. Then Marlo wants to know, you know, how the whole conversation took place. And so Portia says that she thinks that whatever the beef is with Nene and Kim should stay between Nene and Kim, because she was just asking out of concern about the cancer scare. And then everything just blew up, you know, and it wasn't her intention to cause a fight or anything. So then Marlo and Portia get into an argument, but Nene, you know, she kind of brings it back around, you know, by saying that, you know, they all have beautiful homes. They invite people to their homes for different reasons, and that you shouldn't be going back talking about one another, about their homes and everything. And so Marlo felt that it was her place, because remember when Portia had the party at her house and they all came up and was talking about the house, and Marlo was talking about the mat was too small, you know, why did she have the white drapery hanging in the dining room, and, you know, does the doorbell work and all that stuff. So she decides to bring that up, you know, while they're talking. And so she was like, yeah, you know, I thought Portia's rug was too small, but, you know, I could have recorded that and put that up on social media, but I didn't. So why are you talking about it now? And then she tries to shade Cynthia, you know, saying that Cynthia's furniture in her house is from IKEA. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Like, why are you in somebody's house judging what they have in their house? At least they have a house. At least they were able to go buy the IKEA furniture. They start talking, you know, shading each other about their homes and decor. You know, when Portia gets emotional and shares that, you know, she could have a bigger doormat, but her mom had bought her that doormat. And I don't know if she bought the doormat for that house or if she bought the doormat when she lived somewhere else, and it was just something that, you know, was sentimental to her and had value to her. Then Marlo decides, you know, that she's going to go even lower by comparing Portia crying about the doormat to Candy crying about the lies that were told about her last season with Portia and Phaedra. So then Portia had this fan, you know, little fans that pop open. And so she's holding it up, you know, and she had been fanning herself and everything. So when Marlo wouldn't shut up, she held the fan up, like blocking her and Eva, because they were sitting next to each other. And she was like, you know, we're not even going to let you, you know, come over here with that mess and, you know, holding the fan up. So Marlo, you know, just keeps going until she gets a reaction. And so Portia tells her, you know, that she's putting the low in Marlo, and tells her that until she works hard for something and gets stuff on her own, she won't understand what it means to have something and for stuff to have like a special meaning to you. So Marlo says that she's been in 5 foster homes. Now, I don't know what that had to do with the conversation, but she decided to share that with us. And if you guys, Marlo is from St. Petersburg, and older stories I have heard about her. So Marlo decides to snatch the fan out of Portia's hand, and then all hell broke out. So now the group is divided, and Marlo is making it, you know, all about Candy. And so Candy, you know, she doesn't want them, you know, to be in the midst of any of this. And she's like, why is it that when the group, you know, when people are fighting within the group, they try to pull her into it and that whole situation, and why they won't just let the whole thing from last season die down. So they tried to compare Portia holding the fan up to the reunion when her and Kenya, when she had to whoop Kenya ass at that reunion. But it was totally different because Kenya was pointing the fan and jigging the fan at Portia. But in this situation, Portia had the fan up and was fanning herself, and then she was just like joking around, like using the fan to block Marlo from her. You know, she wasn't like pushing it in Marlo's face, but Marlo claimed that she was annoyed by the fan, and then she, you know, that's why she grabbed the fan out of Portia's hand. Then they separated the girls, and it was Nene, Candy, Marlo, Cynthia, and Eva. And I think Eva might have was like, had been with Portia, Shamil, and Sheree, but then she went over to Nene them to see what was going on. And so they're trying to talk to them and tell them to calm down. Like, we're in another country. We don't know what these people's laws are about these kind of shenanigans going on. And we don't want to get arrested. We don't want our passports taken or to get banned from the country. So y'all need to chill out. So then Nene's group decide that they're going to head back to the house so they can start packing to move over to the hotel. And Nene says that they need to hurry up before Portia returns and drags Marlo down the stairs. Now that would have been a sight. So Nene calls Greg, to tell him about what's going on. Candy calls Todd, to relay the events of the day. So Greg says that they need to get back on track. They're supposed to be on a fun trip and they should be over there in these other people's countries fighting and carrying on. And then Todd says that y'all need to chill out before y'all get arrested. And I thought it was just such a juxtaposition between Real Housewives and Married to Medicine, where the men are telling the women, like, y'all are becoming annoying with all this fighting. It's not necessary and y'all need to cut it out. So hopefully we're going to be moving towards a trend where we're not going to be dealing with all this fighting and carrying on. Because I don't understand how y'all going to see the Black Panther and praising Black Panther and all the the value system and ethics and all of that of the movie, but then y'all still want to be fighting and carrying on for entertainment. So Candy then shares that Cynthia wanted to kiss her, and Todd says, oh wait, you hold up on that, because when y'all do kiss, I need you to FaceTime so I can watch. So alrighty then. So there might be Todd, they might do a threesome then, because Todd might talk Candy into going ahead and hooking up with Cynthia. So then Portia says that, she's tired of being beat down, and at this point, she really feels broken, and she was just being really emotional. And she goes in to see Nene and tells Nene that she's decided to leave Spain. Now, y'all remember in the blogs, they were saying that Portia got kicked off the trip, because she got into a fight, and this was the last strike, and she was fired from the show and all this. So it just goes to show you can't believe the blogs. And so basically her and Nene are talking, and she said that she's gone through her anger management and learned how to deal with these type of situations. And she came to the trip, came on the trip to support Cynthia, even though Cynthia had hurt her feelings the day before when she was talking about the whole Candy story. She wanted to forge forward and still enjoy the trip and be supportive of all the ladies. And so Nene, says that she understands how Portia feels, because she's been there with the anger issues and wanting to knock people out. But, she really wishes that Portia would stay and try to push through all the drama so that they can get back on track. But Portia says that she has been through so much that it doesn't seem like it's worth it. And no matter how much, she's tried to, be kind to the ladies and be forgiving and ask for their forgiveness, they just won't give her a break. And so, she was just like, and I understood what Portia was saying, and y'all know I love me some Portia. And just the whole thing with Marlo, like Portia didn't have an issue with Marlo, so why was Marlo starting the fight? Now I can see if, her and Candy got into it, and really that's the only people that she's really had an issue with. So for them to have treated Portia like that, and I can understand how she feels, because in her mind, when the groups separate, the people that go with you are the ones that support you, and the ones that go with the other person support that person. And if you think back to when they had went to San Francisco, the same people ended up in the same group. So she's probably thinking they're being very cliquish right now, and they're not being sincere, when they're interacting with her. So I understood her wanting to leave. And then Nene points out to Portia that the issue with the women, forgiving her completely is that, she hasn't apologized to the group. And I'm like, what she need to apologize to the group for? So Portia was like, well, I thought it would be more powerful if I apologized to everyone individually, and then that way she could address how she felt that her actions impacted that person specifically, but I guess I don't know what they want from her, because it's like, she done apologized to Candy 100 times. Candy says she ain't accepting the apology. And the rest of the ladies, I don't know, what are you expecting? So Nene said that she's happy, that Portia came to her and that they hugged it out. And, now she's feeling like she's back in the big sister mode again, which is where it was obvious she wanted to be from the beginning of the show. So the ladies pike up, you know, and get ready to leave. The bus comes for them. So as they're standing outside and get ready to get on the bus, they realize that Portia isn't there. And they were like, well, where's Portia? And then Nene said, well, I'll tell you about it when we get on the bus. And so that was how the show ended. So guys, what did you think about this episode? Like, are you team Portia or are you team Marlo? Because when they did the poll on Watch What Happens Live, it was like 86% was on Portia's side and 14% was on Marlo's side. And that 14% chose Marlo because they're either her family or they just don't like Portia. Let me know what you think in the comments. Rate the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.